Working the holidays at the parks would be the best of times and the worst of times. The highest of highs and some of the most miserable moments I've had working at the parks. The holidays could be interesting. When you work at a theme park, you can expect to work on the holidays. Thanksgiving, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, you're going to be working if the park's open. It's just kind of a given. So you have to learn how to reschedule holidays, and then you get to deal with some really interesting things. Silver Dollar City was nice in that it was closed on Christmas Day, but Thanksgiving Day, I worked. Christmas Day at Disney, I worked. In fact, that happened several years in a row where we celebrated Christmas either on Christmas Eve or early in the morning. I even took pictures one time where I was ready to go out the door and it was getting the kids up early. Yeah, we actually had to get them up early on Christmas. And then as soon as we were done with presents, I was off to work. We did get Christmas Eve at the parks a couple years with the kids. That was kind of our celebration, but that was unusual. Most of the time you could expect to work, and the holidays at the parks are the busiest time. I was always amazed when you would get these people like,
Yeah, we'll go Christmas week because nobody goes at Christmas.
guess what? The whole world thought the same thing you did, and they're all there. Christmas week and New Year's, those couple of weeks there, along with Thanksgiving, are the busiest weeks of the year at the parks. And they were miserable for the cast members. Yes, you had a lot of people that were excited to be there until they saw how crowded it was. Then they weren't quite so excited. And you're having to deal with literally shoulder to shoulder people. As a photographer, we had no room. We got banged into and bounced into and run into by strollers, and you'd be lined up to take a picture and somebody would bump into you as you're taking it. You would have to keep your family that you're taking a picture of really close, and even then you'd still have people that would cut in between, and it was a frustrating experience if you were outside dealing with the crowds. Temperatures were all over the place. It was the one time of the year in Florida that it might actually get cold, and Florida cold because of the humidity is miserable. It just eats at you. Of course, it's not as bad as the cold at Silver Dollar City, where we would be riding the train in the teens, and we're on the back with the wind chill. And there were times I rode the train at Silver Dollar City in the holidays when it was snowing. Okay, that was really pretty. That was nice. And then just miserably cold and icing and wet. And I had times on the train, no joke, where they would give me a fresh cup of hot chocolate at the depot right before we would leave. Actually, at one time they handed it to me as we were pulling out of the station. Had my cup of hot chocolate, and I'm not a big hot chocolate drinker, but on those cold days, I would have it. And by the time we got out to the Grandpa show, 7 minutes later, it was frozen solid. Yeah, my hot chocolate wasn't no hot chocolate no more. The weather and the crowds are just rough. One of the things I absolutely loved was shooting the pictures of the Osborne lights at Disney MGM Studios. MGM. I love the lights, them dancing to the sounds of Trans-Siberian Orchestra and Mannheim Steamroller and several others. It was just this amazing spectacle, and you got paid to stand there in the middle of it and take pictures of people. It was great. It was also frustrating. Again, because it was super crowded. You were trying to shoot pictures around the music and the lights, so that way you can actually get the pictures with the lights on, because they're flashing and moving with the music. And so you would have times where you would push the shutter button to get the picture and the lights had just gone off. And you got this great picture of these two people standing there with nothing but blackness behind them. Yeah, that was frustrating. And then, of course, the lights would come up and down. So you would have times where the lights would come down and you just have to wait until they came back up again. Or you got to know the musical segments a bit. And if you knew there was one where everything was kind of flashing through, you just waited. So you would have times that you'd be sitting there for 2-3 minutes. Hey folks, I'm sorry, just wait a couple minutes. They will come on and we will get a picture, but I want to make sure I get a picture with the lights, and right now it ain't gonna happen. Oh, and then there was the snow in Florida. It's actually soap machines. The first couple years that we shot the lights, we didn't have covers for the camera. So when the snow machines would come on and all these clumps of soap bubbles and stuff would float down, we would actually grab our rain gear and throw it over the cameras to protect them so they didn't get ruined. Now, they did finally go out and actually buy some water protection gear for the cameras eventually, so we didn't have that issue. But yeah, it made it really interesting sometimes when you're covered in soap bubbles and you're trying to keep the camera from getting covered in it. And it was pretty. It was amazingly pretty, and I loved the opportunity to stay there and watch it. But shooting those pictures while making sure nobody trips on your tripod. So this is actually, I think this is one of the big reasons we started investing in big lights on the tripods. When I started, we actually didn't have any lights on the tripods at all. And then we bought some small lights that clipped onto them just to kind of let people know they were there, and people don't pay attention to where they're going. Well, you get the massive crowd to the holidays, and you literally hold onto your tripod the whole time because you know people are going to kick it, bump it, trip over it, and you just kind of stand there where you're in the middle, so the tripod legs go this way and you got one in front. You stand there in the middle and you hold one hand on that tripod the whole time and hope everybody goes around you. We finally got some lights that lit it up, but with those crowds, it was hard. And it would come to the point at times before the fireworks and stuff like that, when the crowds would get so thick, you couldn't even shoot. You just packed up your stuff and fought your way through the crowd and got out because it was so crowded. But at the same time, it was so beautiful. It was the prettiest time of the year in the parks. The decorations, the music, people, even more so than other times of the year, were determined to be happy. They weren't going to let the huge crowds get to them. They weren't going to let not getting what they wanted to do hinder them from having a good time. And I had more fun with my guests during the holidays. During Christmas at Silver Dollar City, you've got the sing-along Christmas train. Now, I love the robbery. I actually prefer the robbery a little bit to Grandpa and telling the Christmas story, although I love that. But you could have fun on the train in ways you couldn't the rest of the year. And of course, one of my challenges to the train, because we had pre-recorded Christmas music, was, okay, y'all, we're going to sing along with the songs. And if you don't sing, I will. It kind of made people sing because, yes, Craig, you're right. They didn't want to hear me singing then either. But we had a great time. People would really enjoy the ride, enjoy the atmosphere. And oh my goodness, when it snowed, it was amazing. Although it was pretty funny to pull around the bend to see Grandpa sitting there with an inch of snow on him. That was always amusing. That was when I was grateful I wasn't Grandpa. Just a beautiful time of the year. Happy guests, excited guests, and you loved the people. Just not the overwhelming crowds that Came with it. Yeah. You loved the people, just not the overwhelming crowds that came with them. It was a beautiful time. I love those days when the crowds weren't quite so heavy because then you could actually enjoy everything. We love going into the parks at Christmas and all the different holiday stuff at all of them. It's our favorite time of year to go. You just plan those weekdays, the first couple weeks of December or the end of November when it's not Thanksgiving, and you can go see all the stuff and not deal with the crowds. That's the way you do it, because then it's just amazing. So, what do you think? Have you been in the parks during the holidays? Do you agree it's the best and worst? The prettiest time of year, the most entertainment, the most special stuff going on, and the biggest crowds. If you have worked at the parks during the holidays, did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What were your impressions? I would love to hear. Please share it in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button, share, and subscribe. And thank you to my financial supporters, my patrons, and my YouTube members who help make so much possible, including some of the pictures and footage you saw in this video. If you want to know more about that and the perks that come with it, check the description below. Thank you so incredibly much for watching. Have a wonderfully blessed holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, whatever other celebrations you may have. Thank you so much. God bless. This is Christmas. It's the best of times, it's the worst of times. Working the holidays at the parks, including Christmas and New Year's, and it'd be the best of... I'm doing this cough drop in my mouth. Oh my gosh, I'm messing shit up. Christmas Day, I worked. At least at Disney. Thanks so much for watching. If you'd like to know about my merchandise and fan pages and more, be sure to check the description below. If you'd like to know whenever I've got a new video posted up, make sure you hit that button right up there and subscribe. If you want to see another of my videos right now, well, I've got a great one for you right here. And if you'd like to be like these wonderful people here and support me financially on Patreon, well, make sure you check that link right there. There's all sorts of perks and benefits. Thank you so much and God bless.